Welcome back to this week's episode of Dishes with Del, where we are making Cinnabon cinnamon rolls. What a mouthful. If anyone lived in the UK in the 90s, Cinnabon, I think, were everywhere. I used to live in Essex and there was one in Lakeside and I used to love going there. There is nothing like a hot, fresh cinnamon bun covered in cream cheese frosting. If you've ever been to Disney World as well, it's like that smell that gets pumped out everywhere. You know, it's Americana, it's American, it's delicious, and I love it. I think maybe even in the States you still have Cinnabon. Maybe you do or don't have it. Anyway, let me know in the comment section down below. And enough of that. Let's get on to making these beauties. They are, you know, packed full of cinnamon, got that delicious frosting all over the top, and they are just delicious. So as always, let's get on to the ingredients. All right, first the ingredients for the dough. Flour, yeast, eggs, butter, sugar, milk. All of the volumes on my website, so just head there and you can find the recipe for this. The link is in the description box down below. But what we need to do first is just warm up the milk. So we've got 180 mils of milk, and we're just gonna pop it on the stove, warm it up so that we can add the yeast and it can activate. We'll also add the sugar in there to really get it going. And then I'm gonna do this in the mixer because, again, nice to do it with a dough hook, but if you're doing it by hand, we're just gonna knead it and work it together like we would any other dough. So I've just warmed up the milk, and you just wanna make sure that when you put your finger in that it's not too hot. You know, you don't really wanna be able to tell a massive difference between your finger and the temperature of the milk, you know, so it's like blood temperature. So we're just gonna add the yeast on top, and we're also gonna add the sugar. So we've got in there 155 grams of sugar and 7 grams of active yeast. We've talked about that before as well. You know, if you've got an old packet of yeast that's been open, smell it. Does it smell yeasty? If it doesn't smell yeasty, then it may well not be active anymore. So that's where it's really good to buy them little sachets. So we'll just give it a little whisk, get it all working together, and let that sit for 5 minutes, and it will become all foamy, and then we can start to make the dough. You want to make sure that that yeast is all dissolved, and so is that sugar. And we're also going to add to that mix the melted butter. So it's about 50 odd grams of melted butter. That's also going to go in there so that we have all of our liquids all together when we make the dough. The yeast and milk have been sitting for a little while, and it's all started to become a little bit foamy with a bit of a whisk, which tells me that hopefully has had enough time to react and we can start making the dough. So that's had 5 minutes and everything has pretty much dissolved in there. It looks good. It's really important with the yeast that the liquid isn't too hot, because you will kill it. But what's really good with this recipe is that you're putting some sugar in there, which will also activate that yeast a little bit more. You know, yeast loves sugar, and that's what gets it going. So that's really great to have that all, you know, all mixed together when you heat it up, or when the milk is heated, sorry. So we're just going to chuck in the flour, 360 grams of flour, and pop that in and start turning it. And then we're just going to add in this, incorporate it, and then we'll add the eggs. Just give, you know, that last little bit in case there are any bits of yeast in the bottom. You want to make sure that they're all out the pan. And we'll let that start working, and then we'll add the eggs, and then it's just going to have to mix for about 5 minutes, and then we'll have a look at the dough and see what it looks like. So I'm just going to add that 1 whole egg and egg yolk. And that's it. Now we're just going to let it knead. So the dough's been working for a couple of minutes, and what I always like to do is give a good scrape down the sides of the bowl, just to make sure that if there's anything that's really stuck there that shouldn't be there, that, you know, it all gets incorporated into that dough. We're not quite there yet, I'll show you. So when you're making a dough, you want to make sure that when it's working, that you can start to see through it. So we're kind of getting there, but it's still a little bit tacky to touch. And as we pull it apart, it's separating a little bit. It's not this perfect kind of what they call window pane. I don't know whether you can pick that up. So it's nearly there, but I reckon it still needs another 5 minutes or so of kneading. And as you can see, it is quite a wet, tacky dough, but that's what makes them so nice and soft and delicious on the inside. So yeah, and then we should be ready to go, and we'll give it a little knead on the bench and let it rise. Wrong one. As you can hear there, it's just starting to slap on the side of the bowl, which means it's nearly ready. So that's had just a few minutes extra kneading, and I don't know whether you can pick it up, but you can start to hear it like slapping the side of the bowl, which means that to me it's probably nearly ready. That means that all the dough, all the gluten has started to like stretch, which means the dough has become softer and suppler. So we'll have a look and see. Yeah, it's like a completely different texture from what it was a minute ago. Oh my God, this is just like the softest dough. It's so nice. But yeah, I think we've got a good bounce back. I reckon that we're good to go. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of flour on the board, take it out, give it a little knead. We're gonna pop it in a bowl, cling film it, and let it rise. Get all them bits off there. Sorry about the washing up also. This is something that I love to do. So, you know, while something's working, tidy up your other stuff so you don't have endless bowls of washing up to do when you've finished for the day. So just scoop that out, pop it on the board, get all them last bits out. And you know, it is soft and it is supple, but don't be tempted to add loads of flour, because this is what you want. You know, you want this incredibly soft, gorgeous dough, and it will just make the most amazing buns. So that's it all together. That bounce back is incredible. And yeah, I'm just going to put a tiny bit of oil in this bowl and into the oven with the light on until it's doubled in size. And that's probably going to be about an hour and a half. So just the tiniest bit of oil in the bowl, and just work it around so it's on all the surfaces so that the dough doesn't completely stick. And pop that in, cover it up. And in it goes for an hour and a half, or until it's doubled in size. We'll see you then. An hour and a half has gone by, and look at this guy. Looks incredible. It has certainly doubled in size. Honestly, the turning on the oven light is such a good little trick if you haven't got like an airing cupboard or something like that where it's always warm. It's a really good way to do it. So we need to take this out, and we're going to roll it into a rectangle. It's about as long as a large ruler, so 30 centimeters long by about 20 centimeters. Yeah, basically you don't want to make a square, you want to make a rectangle. So we'll just pop a little bit of flour down and we'll get this guy out. Oh my God, it's like a pillow. I mean, this honestly just looks spectacular. And it's, you know, you can tell that it's risen well because it's a little, you know, it has a little bit of warmth in it. Oh, it's just, oh my God, it's just so soft. Anyway, we'll roll this guy out. To make a rectangle like that, that's quite a good way to do it. You know, roll one way and then roll it the other to about the distance you want. I always like to lift it up every now and again just to make sure it's not stuck. And we go long. And there we go. I reckon that that's about right. I don't have my tape measure here in the kitchen, but that's probably about the size we're looking for. About 25 centimeters this way, and about 35 centimeters this way. Okay, now the good bit. We need to get some really nice soft butter. So, you know, give it a little minute in the microwave so that you can paste it on. If it's too hard, you're going to rip the dough, which we don't want. So you want to make sure that it's nice and soft, and we're just going to paste it over the whole thing, just like that. Oh my God, I don't know if anyone out there watches RuPaul's Drag Race, but in the UK, one bag of chips, just like that. And now every time I hear it, or every time I say it, I just think of her. Okay. So we've pasted it on, no butter left. There's about 55 grams of butter, and that's all on there. And then we have the sugar. So here I've got some like muscovado, some like really dark, and I've got a little bit of light brown sugar also. You know, if you didn't have any super dark brown, it doesn't matter, just use light. The only thing with this is that you get a really nice caramel color. So I'm just gonna mix it all together, and then we're gonna add in the cinnamon. So we've got about 1.5 tablespoons here of cinnamon. It is a lot, but these are cinnamon buns. So you wanna make sure that that is all mixed together. Oh my God, it just makes this like beautiful texture. It's so pretty. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, you can, of course, just use the light brown if you only had that. But the dark brown, oh, it just makes it a little bit better. And now we're just gonna shake it all over. And I know it's a lot of sugar, but again, these are cinnamon buns and that's just how it is. So we'll put it all over, and then we just wanna spread it out like this, all over the edges, all the way to the side. All over. And then you want to kind of squish it in like that. Just want to squish it all into that butter so that it's all stuck. Plus as well, I mean, I know that these are cinnamon buns, but if you really liked, you know, you want to put some nuts in it, put some nuts in it. Some pecans would be delicious. And now we're just going to roll it up. So just roll it up nice and tight. Like that. And that's it. We're going to sit them in here, cut them up, and they're going to have another hour or so rising, just so that they've filled the space of the tray. Again, I would cut this very end bit off because there's not much in there. And then this is going to make 9 buns. So we'll go 1, 2. Ignore that, we're gonna go 8. Did some bad math, classic. And in they go. We're just gonna pop all them edges into the middle of the tray so that when they spread, they all touch and they don't unravel. And these 2 little bits, even though they're little, they're just gonna go in there too. They can be the chef's treat for when they are baking in the oven. So that's them all there and ready. I'm just gonna use that same bit of cling film, pop it over the top, and we're just gonna sit it in the oven with the light on until they've pretty much doubled in size again. And then we can just bake these beauties. As you can see there, even when I rolled out the dough, how much more it had come together from how sticky it had looked at that point when we first took it out of the, when I first showed you out of the mixer. You know, that's why I said it's really important that you don't want to add flour to something that looks really wet, because it will all come together. But you know, sometimes you also just have to trust the process. So, you know, as you can see there, it's really turned into something that's quite amazing, because all that gluten has had time to, you know, start to like stretch out and bind all of that dough together. And the result is that we'll have something that's super soft and really delicious. So always just try and stick with it. So I'm going to pop these into the oven, 45 minutes, hour and a half, depending when they've doubled in size, and I'll show you them and then we'll pop them in the oven. Okay, here they are. They've had 45 minutes, and as you can see, they have started to plump out and grow and look amazing. And so let's get them in the oven, and that's all we need to do. 180 for 20 minutes, and then we'll have a look at them. And then when they come out, we'll give them 10 minutes cooling, and we're going to put the frosting all over the top, and they will be ready to eat. So in they go. See you in a bit. So just add in the butter, and then you put half the sugar in, give it a beat, add the rest of the sugar, and then just add in the cream cheese and beat and whip until light and fluffy. It will go from being this pale yellow to a light white. So it went from yellow to being a pale white, and that's all ready to go for when the cinnamon buns come out and have had 5 minutes cooling. So as you can see, they've fully expanded, they've filled out this tray. It just looks amazing. They've been out for about 5-10 minutes. So now we're just gonna ice them, and then once again, just let them sit. And I mean, this is all about lathering it up. And then the best thing is, it kind of melts in and sets on top. Oh my God, yeah, yum. Every last inch covered in that yummy cream cheese frosting. And that there is it. That's cinnamon buns with cream cheese frosting. It's had a little time to relax and soak in. As you can see here, you know, it's all just started to kind of solidify a little bit, like kind of get a bit hard, make a little bit of a crust. And now it's just time to get stuck in. So yeah, I might actually get a spoon though to get this corner out. Oh my God. I mean, yes, please. Oh, it's just like soft. That enriched dough is so special. Honestly, that is sensational. Yeah, I think that's all I've got to say about these. You know, that creamy frosting, packed full of cinnamon, they're just absolutely delicious. So I'm probably going to go eat another whole one of these, have a cup of tea, sit down and enjoy this little bit of sunshine that we're having here on a winter's day in New Zealand. And yeah, I'll get back to you soon. Thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And as always, let me know in the comments section down below how it turned out for you if you made it. So I'll see you soon.